They sent her to the billionaire as a throwaway choice. He saw the greatest gift he never expected. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to our main character. On paper, Lily Carter was the kind of girl nobody would ever send to a billionaire. In real life, that was exactly why they did. At 23, she smelled like cheap coffee and acrylic paint, worked double shifts at a tiny cafe on the corner of Maple and 3rd, and fell asleep most nights with her cheek pressed against a sketchbook instead of a pillow. The sketchbook was old, its cardboard cover frayed, its pages warped from years of being handled with more love than money. On the very first page, in messy blue ink, her dad had written, "For Lily. One day, we'll see all of this together." Then he'd drawn little doodles of places he dreamed of taking her. A bridge full of lights, a street market by the ocean, a big city skyline glittering like spilled stars. He never got the chance. A drunk driver on a rainy night had taken care of that when Lily was just 14, and with him went the last adult who looked at her like she was a person, not a problem to be solved. After that, the small apartment above the laundromat stopped being home and turned into a scoreboard of debts. Monica, her stepmother, filled it with perfume that wasn't really designer, handbags that definitely weren't, and complaints that always were. "Do you have any idea what the bills look like?" she would snap, waving a stack of envelopes at Lily like weapons. "Rent, electricity, your sister's tuition, credit cards. None of this pays itself, you know." Your sister? That meant Brianna. Technically her half-sister, practically a stranger with perfect eyeliner. Brianna's bedroom looked like an influencer's backdrop. Ring light, clothing racks, boxes from online stores stacked like bricks of some weird fashion wall. Lily's room was the couch, plus a shelf where she kept her sketchbook and 2 changes of clothes. Whenever Monica said, "our family," she meant herself and Brianna. When she said, "you," she meant the help. That night, just 3 days before Lily's life would collide with a billionaire's, the apartment buzzed with a different kind of energy. Not anger, not disappointment. Something worse, excitement. Monica sat at the wobbly dining table, lit only by the glow of her laptop screen. Brianna leaned over her shoulder in an oversized sweatshirt, spooning ice cream straight from the tub. On the screen, a video played. Dramatic music, clean fonts, a slow shot of a glass tower scraping the sky. A deep, polished voiceover said, "Blackwood Holdings invites the nation to witness a new kind of partnership. 1 billionaire. 1 year. 1 contract bride." Monica's eyes practically sparkled. $10 million, she breathed, like the words themselves were diamond earrings. Paid directly to the bride's family if she completes the 1-year marriage contract with Adrian Blackwood. Adrian Blackwood, Brianna repeated, pulling up his pictures on her phone. "Oh, my God. Mom, he's ridiculous. He looks like he was born in a tux." She zoomed in on a photo of him at some charity gala. Sharp jawline, dark hair, cool gray eyes that looked like they had never once in their lives checked a price tag. Monica didn't care about the tux or the jawline. She cared about the number on the screen. 10 million would clear every card, pay off the car, get us out of this dump, and put you straight into that private college in California, she said. "We'd finally live like we're supposed to." Brianna clicked through the application page. Half-heartedly. "Yeah, well, too bad they're not casting influencers. They want grounded girls with strong values, according to this." "Boring." She shrugged. "They're obviously looking for someone sweet and plain they can turn into a Cinderella story." For a second, the room fell quiet. Then both women turned their heads, slowly, toward the kitchen. Lily was there, back turned to them, scrubbing a pan like it had personally offended her, wearing a faded t-shirt with coffee stains that never quite washed out. Her hair was tied in a messy knot, pencil tucked behind her ear, a smudge of charcoal on her cheekbone from spending her 10-minute break sketching customers at the cafe earlier. Monica's smile appeared so fast, it was almost scary. "Grounded," she repeated softly. "Plain. Cinderella. Interesting." Lily didn't hear that part. She only heard Monica call, "Lily, are those dishes done yet? We don't have all night." "Almost," Lily answered, rinsing the last plate. Her fingers were pruny and numb, but she kept her voice light. If she was useful, if she was quiet, maybe the night would pass without another lecture about how expensive it was just to keep her alive. Later, when the sink was empty and the kitchen finally stopped smelling like dish soap, Lily padded into the living room, rubbing her tired eyes. That's when she saw them. Monica and Brianna huddled over the laptop, the words, "The Blackwood Deal," application form, glowing at the top of the screen. "What's that?" Lily asked, frowning. Monica flashed her a grin that showed too many teeth. "An opportunity," she said. "For our family." Lily's stomach did a tiny, nervous flip. Nothing good ever started with Monica saying, "our family." Monica patted the chair beside her. "Sit down, Lily." Lily sat, clutching her sketchbook to her chest without realizing it. On the form, text boxes were already half filled. Name, Lily Carter. Age, 23. Occupation, executive assistant at Carver and Lane Consulting. "That's not true," Lily said automatically, pointing. "I'm a barista. And I do commissions sometimes, like portraits, and no one is going to pick a barista from a hole-in-the-wall cafe, Lily." Monica cut in, her tone suddenly sharp. "You think billionaires marry girls who smell like espresso and mop water?" Brianna snorted, scrolling. "Ah, relax. We're just upgrading your life a little on paper. Look, we even gave you a business degree from some state university." "You're welcome." Lily's chest tightened. "I didn't finish community college. I had to drop out to work when your father died." Yes, we all remember." Monica snapped, rolling her eyes. "And who kept a roof over your head after that, Who bought groceries? Who made sure you didn't end up on the street?" "You remind me every day," Lily said quietly. "Exactly." Monica clicked the next section without waiting. "So now you're going to do something for this family. It's your turn." She said, "this family," like Lily wasn't actually part of it, just a long-term guest that needed to start paying rent. Lily swallowed. "You're signing me up to marry a billionaire on TV? As a, what did they call it? Contract bride?" "If you're chosen," Brianna said, licking ice cream off her spoon, "we get $10 million when you complete the year." $10 million. You'll be doing the noble thing. "And if I don't want to?" Lily asked. The room cooled instantly. Monica leaned back, eyes narrowing. "You don't want to help the people who fed you, housed you, kept you when your own father left us with nothing but his hospital bills?" Her voice dripped acid. "You're alive because of my sacrifices, Lily. I've poured years into holding this family together, and you can't even fill out a stupid form." Shame crawled up Lily's throat like something alive. She clutched the sketchbook tighter, as if the worn pages could shield her. It sounds insane," she whispered. "I don't belong in that world." "Exactly," Brianna muttered. "That's why it'll make great TV." Monica shoved the laptop a little closer to Lily and handed her a cheap pen from the dollar store jar on the table. "They need a signature to process the application," she said, pinning Lily with a look. "You'll sign it. Or you can start paying actual rent next month. Full price. No discounts. Your pick." Lily looked at the screen, at the tiny little line marked applicant signature. It was such a small thing. Just ink on a digital pad. But somehow, it felt like putting her name on a receipt for her own life. Her heart pounded. Her dad's sketchbook was warm under her fingers, like it was begging her not to let them trade her away like a broken appliance. 10 million, Lily, Monica pressed. 1 year pretending to be a rich man's wife, and the rest of us get to breathe. Pretending. Lily exhaled slowly. She had been pretending for years. Pretending she didn't hear the way Monica called her that girl on the phone. Pretending she was fine sleeping on a couch. Pretending it didn't hurt that her dreams lived only inside a notebook. Maybe this was just one more performance. Her hand shook as she picked up the pen. "Fine," she whispered. "I'll do it." She signed, Lily Carter. Monica clapped her hands once, delighted. "Good girl. You leave as soon as they approve you." Lily blinked. "Leave? If you're selected," Brianna said with a shrug, "they fly you to New York. Blackwood's estate. Cameras, interviews, the whole deal. Try not to trip on your own feet on national television." Later that night, when the apartment finally went quiet and Monica's snores vibrated through the thin walls, Lily sat alone on the couch. The laptop was closed. The form was gone. Her name, however, was not. It was now somewhere out there in a system that matched ordinary girls with billionaires and turned their lives into content. Lily opened her sketchbook to the first page. Her dad's handwriting stared back at her. "One day, we'll see all of this together." "Guess I'm going somewhere, Dad," she murmured, tracing the ink with her fingertip. "Just not how we planned." Outside, the city hummed. Inside, a girl with paint under her nails and dish soap on her skin had just agreed to be sent to a billionaire as a throwaway choice. Without realizing, she was walking straight into the story that would prove she was anything but. The message came 2 days later, just as the morning rush at the cafe hit its loudest point. The bell over the door kept ringing. The espresso machine hissed like an irritated dragon, and Lily Carter was halfway through pouring a latte when her phone buzzed in the pocket of her apron. She ignored it at first. The regulars in line did not care if her life had just changed. They cared about their caffeine. She finished the order, slid the cup across the counter with a tired smile, and only then dared to sneak a look at the screen. One new email. Subject line: "The Blackwood Deal, Final Selection." For a second, Lily genuinely thought her heart stopped. Her fingers felt numb as she tapped it open. "Dear Miss Carter, we are pleased to inform you that you have been selected as one of the finalists for the Blackwood Deal." The words blurred for a moment. Selected. Finalist. Flight information attached. Pickup instructions. She was supposed to be at the airport in less than 24 hours. "Lily, order up," her manager called, snapping her back into reality. Her hands moved on autopilot for the rest of the shift, but her brain was gone, floating somewhere above the city, trying to understand how a girl who slept on a couch above a laundromat was suddenly supposed to walk into a billionaire's world like it was normal. That night, she laid the printed email on the dining table at home. Monica grabbed it so fast you would think it was a winning lottery ticket. "I knew it," Monica breathed, eyes racing over the words. "I knew they would see your potential. $10 million. Do you understand what this means for us, Lily?" "For you," Lily corrected softly. "For us," Monica snapped, not even looking up. Brianna took the second page, studying the schedule. "They are flying her to New York, sending a car to pick her up, putting her in the Blackwood estate," she murmured. "That is insane." Her tone hovered somewhere between envy and fascination. Monica finally looked at Lily, her expression sharpening. "You are not going there to fall in love," she said. "You are going there to complete a contract. You will smile, nod, be grateful, and you will not embarrass this family. Do you understand me?" Lily wanted to say that this family had never once cared about being embarrassed when it came to her, but she just nodded. "Yes." "Good," Monica said, satisfied. "Pack something decent. And try not to take that ugly notebook. It makes you look childish." Lily's hand instinctively moved to the sketchbook on the chair beside her. She pulled it closer. "The sketchbook is coming," she said. The room went quiet for a beat. Monica rolled her eyes and dropped it. The next day moved like fast forward and slow motion at the same time. The airport smelled like coffee and metal and too many people in one place. Lily's entire life was crammed into one battered suitcase and a backpack with her sketchbook wrapped in an old sweatshirt at the bottom. On the plane, she stared out the tiny window as the city she knew shrank into a grid of toy buildings and then into clouds. "It is just 1 year," she told herself in her head. 1 year of pretending, and then you can breathe. New York greeted her with a hard gray sky and a wind that sliced straight through her hoodie. The Blackwood car was supposed to meet her at a specific exit, but when she pushed through the sliding doors onto the sidewalk, the signs, the honking, and the shouting all blurred into noise. Passengers rushed around her with purpose. Lily stood still for a second, small and lost in a crowd that seemed born knowing where they were going. A gust of wind whipped down the sidewalk, sharp and sudden. It slammed into her so hard that she stumbled back a step. The backpack on her shoulders shifted, the zipper that she had forgotten to fully close slid down, and the sketchbook slipped out, tumbling toward the curb. "No, no, no," Lily gasped, lunging forward. The sketchbook hit the wet concrete, bounced once, and skidded toward a puddle streaked with oil and city grime. For 1 second, she saw it there in her mind, pages soaked, ink bleeding, the last thing her father had ever drawn for her dissolving into muddy water. She threw herself after it, hand outstretched, completely oblivious to the rolling suitcase she was about to trip over. "Careful," a male voice said, low and calm. A hand shot out and closed around the sketchbook a split second before it slid into the puddle. Another hand caught Lily's elbow, steadying her as her sneakers skidded on the wet pavement. She blinked, breathless, hair blown into her face. When she pushed it aside, she saw him. He was not wearing a suit, just dark jeans, a charcoal sweater, and a black coat that probably cost more than everything she owned combined, but somehow still looked understated. His hair was slightly mussed from the wind, his jaw shaded with the beginning of stubble, and his eyes were a cool, unreadable gray that seemed to take in everything at once. He held her sketchbook with a kind of careful grip that made it look more valuable than any designer bag in the crowd. "You almost lost this," he said. His voice was smooth, measured, like someone who was used to people listening when he spoke. "I know," Lily managed, cheeks burning. "Thank you. That would have been very bad." She hugged the sketchbook to her chest as he handed it back. A small line formed between his eyebrows as he glanced at the cover, at the warped edges and faded ink. Drawings visible where the cardboard had chipped away. "Looks important," he said. "It is," Lily replied. "It was my father's. It is the only map I have for places that might feel like home." The corner of his mouth moved, almost a smile, almost something softer. For a second, the busy airport noise fell away, and it was just the two of them in a bubble of cold air and shared understanding. "Then you should hold on to it," he said quietly, "and not let the wind decide where it goes." Before she could say anything else, a sleek black car pulled up to the curb. A woman in a dark suit stepped out and called, "Miss Lily Carter?" Lily jumped a little. "Yes, that is me," she answered. When she turned back to thank the stranger again, he was already moving away, hands in his coat pockets, swallowed back up by the crowd. "This way, Miss Carter," the driver said, taking her suitcase. Lily climbed into the car, clutching her sketchbook, her heart still pounding for reasons that had nothing to do with turbulence. As the city blurred past the windows and the car headed toward an address she had only seen in glossy photos, Lily Carter had no idea that the man who had just rescued her sketchbook from a dirty airport puddle was Adrian Blackwood himself, the billionaire she had been sent to as a throwaway choice, and that to him, she was about to become the one thing he never expected to find. By the time the car turned off the main road and through a tall iron gate, Lily Carter was convinced she had fallen into some kind of expensive simulation. The sidewalks, the honking, the gray sidewalks of New York disappeared behind them. Ahead stretched a long private drive lined with trees wrapped in tiny white lights, like stars trapped in branches. At the end of the drive rose Blackwood Estate, a glass and stone mansion perched above the Hudson River, all sharp lines and soaring windows that reflected the cloudy sky back at itself. It looked like the kind of place that would be on the cover of a magazine with a headline that said, "The Untouchable Life." The car stopped under a covered entrance. A woman in a slim black suit opened Lily's door before she could reach for the handle. Her hair was pulled into a bun so precise it could have been measured with a ruler, and she wore a discreet earpiece, as if someone somewhere was narrating her life. "Miss Carter," she said, her voice smooth and trained. "Welcome to Blackwood Estate. I am Elise, Mr. Blackwood's assistant. Please follow me." Lily stepped out, her sneakers squeaking slightly on the polished stone. For a split second, she saw her own reflection in the glass doors. Messy ponytail, travel-wrinkled jeans, backpack strap digging into her shoulder, fingers clutching her sketchbook like a life raft. Behind her reflection, the estate rose like a different planet. This had to be a mistake. Elise held the door, and the estate swallowed Lily whole. The foyer was an explosion of marble and light. A massive chandelier hung from the double-height ceiling, its crystals catching and scattering sunlight in small rainbows across the floor. Two sweeping staircases curved up from either side, like something out of a movie about people who had never worried about rent. Lily tried not to trip over her own feet as she followed Elise across the gleaming floor. Discreet cameras were tucked into the corners, tiny red lights winking. She felt each one like an insect crawling on her skin. "The other finalists are waiting in the main living room," Elise said. Her heels clicked in a steady rhythm that sounded like a countdown. "Mr. Blackwood will join you shortly to explain the process." The words, "the other finalists," landed in Lily's stomach like a stone. She had known there would be others, of course. The email had said, "selected finalists," plural. Still, walking into a competition felt different from reading about it on a screen. Elise pushed open a set of wide double doors, and for a moment Lily forgot how to move. The living room was bigger than the entire apartment above the laundromat back home. Floor-to-ceiling windows looked out over the river, where the water moved like melted steel. White sofas formed careful conversation areas, each one centered around glass tables that probably cost more than her manager's car. On one of the sofas sat two women who looked like they belonged there in a way Lily never would. The first had sleek dark hair that fell over one shoulder, a fitted black dress that screamed custom-tailored, and heels that could probably cut glass. She held a wine glass the way Monica held her phone, like it was an extension of her hand. The second woman, perched on the edge of the opposite sofa, was tall and blonde, wearing a white pantsuit so sharp it could draw blood. Her posture was perfect, ankles crossed, tablet in her lap, as if she were reviewing a contract instead of waiting for a reality show to begin. Both of them looked up when Lily entered. There was a brief, silent scan from head to toe. Lily instantly became aware of everything about herself at once. The faded hoodie, the scuffed sneakers, the backpack strap that had left a red mark on her shoulder. "You must be the third," the blonde woman said, closing her tablet with a soft click. Her smile was polite, but her eyes were assessing, like Lily was a number on a report. "I am Cassandra Hale." "Lily," she answered, shifting her sketchbook from one arm to the other. "Lily Carter." "Naomi Price," the dark-haired woman added, glancing at Lily with the efficient interest of someone sizing up competition for a brand deal. "You look very authentic." Lily had no idea if that was a compliment or not. "I had a long flight," she said, because it was the only explanation she could think of that did not sound like an apology for existing. Cassandra tilted her head slightly. "So, Lily, why did you apply for the Blackwood deal?" Lily opened her mouth, then closed it again. The truth was not pretty. "It is complicated," she settled on. Naomi smirked. "That means it is good television." Before Lily could decide whether to answer that, a subtle change in the air made all three of them look toward the doorway. The room seemed to straighten itself, as if the furniture knew who was coming. A tall man in a dark navy suit stepped through the doors with the quiet confidence of someone who never had to wonder if he belonged. His tie was perfectly knotted, his hair neatly styled, and his expression was composed, almost unreadable. It took Lily less than a second to recognize him, and in that second her brain nearly shut down. It was the man from the airport, the stranger who had caught her sketchbook and her elbow with the same steady hands. Except now he was not a stranger. Now he was Adrian Blackwood. Elise announced him anyway, as if the room did not already know. "Ladies, this is Mr. Adrian Blackwood." Cassandra and Naomi rose immediately, posture flawless. Lily scrambled to her feet a beat late, clutching her sketchbook so tightly her knuckles ached. Adrian's gaze moved to each of them in turn. It paused for the briefest moment when it reached Lily, and something flickered in his eyes. Recognition. It was gone a heartbeat later, replaced by a cool professionalism that fit the suit as well as his shoulders did. "Thank you for coming," he said. His voice carried easily through the room, the same calm tone he had used at the airport, but now there was an edge of authority to it. "You have all been selected from thousands of applicants. Over the next several days, you will live here at the estate. You will take part in conversations, events, and evaluations that will be broadcast to a private audience. At the end, I will choose one of you to enter into a 1-year marriage contract with me." Lily's heart pounded so loudly she was sure the cameras could hear it. Naomi nodded like she had expected nothing less. Cassandra gave a small, confident smile. "Our families receive the $10 million if we complete the year," she said. More statement than question. Adrian inclined his head slightly. "Correct. But this is not only about the contract. It is about compatibility, character, and whether we can stand being in the same room without wanting to strangle each other." A small ripple of laughter moved through the room. Lily did not laugh. She was too busy trying not to stare at him like an idiot. He turned to her finally. "Miss Carter," he said. His tone did not give away that he had once steadied her on a wet sidewalk. "I trust your trip was not too difficult." "It was fine," Lily answered, her voice thinner than she would have liked. "Thank you for the ride. For the sketchbook, for the warning, for seeing me when everyone else just pushes past." She swallowed the words. This was not the place. This was not the world. Adrian gave a small nod, then looked between the three women, all so different and yet, in this moment, equally trapped by the same cameras. "Settle in," he said. "You are being watched from the moment you walked through those doors." That includes me. So let us all try to remember that while we are playing this very expensive game, we are also human beings. He turned and walked out as smoothly as he had arrived. The air released a little when he was gone. Naomi exhaled slowly. Well, she said, glancing at Lily with a slight smirk, it looks like the game just started. Lily sank back onto the sofa, her sketchbook heavy in her lap and a new, terrifying thought settling in her chest. She had been sent here as a throwaway choice, a way to pay someone else's debts. But as she replayed the look in Adrian Blackwood's eyes when he had seen her, just for that one unguarded second, she could not shake the feeling that for the first time in her life, someone very powerful had actually seen her. By 7 that evening, Lily Carter had learned 2 things about Blackwood Estate. The first was that the elevator talked, which was somehow more unsettling than the cameras. The second was that apparently there were more types of forks in the world than she had ever seen in her entire life. After a whirlwind tour of the guest wing and a quick shower in a bathroom that was bigger than the kitchen back home, Lily pulled on the only dress she owned that could be described as nice. It was simple navy blue cotton that hit just above her knees, nothing glittery, nothing dramatic, the kind of dress you wore to a friend's wedding if you were trying not to attract attention. She had exactly 0 jewelry and exactly 0 idea how to walk in the modest pair of heels they had provided in her size, but she tried anyway. The dining room looked like something from a royal documentary. A long polished table gleamed under a chandelier that seemed to hold 1,000 tiny suns. White plates sat on crisp linen, surrounded by an army of silverware. On Lily's side alone, there were 6 different forks, 3 knives, 2 spoons, and 3 glasses that caught the light like prisms. Discrete cameras were mounted in the corners, their lenses aimed just slightly down, ready to catch every micro-expression. Cassandra sat to Adrian's right, flawless in an emerald dress that matched the label on the wine bottle. Naomi took the seat on his left, a sleek black gown hugging her figure, her makeup camera perfect. Lily was placed across from Adrian, which felt like a conspiracy designed to maximize the number of angles that could capture her doing something wrong. Relax your shoulders, Naomi murmured, not unkindly, as Lily sat stiff as a board. If you look like you are about to be executed, the audience will not enjoy their salad. I did not know there would be a written exam in cutlery, Lily whispered back, eyeing the forks. The outermost one seemed to be judging her. A server appeared like a magician, setting down the first course in front of each of them. It was an artful arrangement of delicate greens, a tiny disc of goat cheese with a golden crust, and 3 dots of sauce that looked too pretty to eat. Arugula salad with smoked goat cheese and almond crumble. The server announced in a tone that suggested this was a very serious moment. Cassandra picked up the outer fork with confident ease. Naomi followed suit without even looking down. Lily hesitated, then grabbed the same fork, hoping she was not accidentally arming herself with the dessert utensil. You are being watched by several thousand people right now, Naomi said lightly, lifting a bite to her lips. Just pretend you are not. Several thousand. Lily felt her pulse in her ears. Back in the apartment above the laundromat, Monica had dragged the small television into the living room and tuned it to the exclusive online channel that was streaming the show. The show was by invitation only for now, a beta test for investors and advertisers, but Monica had found a way, of course. She always did when money was involved. She sat on the edge of the couch, volume turned up. Brianna sprawled beside her with a bowl of popcorn, scrolling through social media on her phone. There she is, Monica said, jabbing a finger at the screen. Lily appeared in high definition, eyebrows slightly lifted at the sight of the giant dining room. At least she does not look completely awful. She looks like she is about to pass out, Brianna replied. This is going to be entertaining. At the table, Adrian set down his own fork and took a sip of wine, his expression composed. I want to ask all of you a simple question, he said. Why are you here? Cassandra was ready. I believe in legacy, she said smoothly. My family has always built strategic alliances. I see this contract as an opportunity for us to amplify each other's influence. Together, we could expand Blackwood Holdings into new markets and create something that lasts generations. Adrian nodded thoughtfully. Naomi. Naomi smiled, tilting her head just so for the camera. I respect what you represent, Adrian. Innovation, leadership, visibility. I believe that with the right partner by your side, your image and impact could grow even stronger. The world needs examples of powerful couples who also use their influence for good. I would like to help build that image. Another nod. Then his eyes shifted to Lily. The cameras followed his gaze like obedient pets. Lily's fork hovered above her plate. The little disc of goat cheese glistened accusingly. "Miss Carter," Adrian said. "Why are you here?" Lily felt every lens in the room lock onto her face. Back home, Monica leaned forward. "Say something smart," she hissed at the television, as if Lily could hear her through the screen. Brianna snickered. "She is going to choke." The true answer was ugly, but Lily did not know how to dress it up in pretty words. "I do not know," she blurted. Her fork slipped. The goat cheese disc slid off the edge, bounced once on the plate, and landed with a soft, humiliating plop that was much louder in her mind than it was in reality. For a half-second, everything froze. Cassandra's fork paused midair. Naomi's perfectly shaped eyebrows lifted. Adrian did not look away. Lily stared at the cheese, then at her traitorous fork, then at Adrian. "I mean," she tried again, voice shaking but still going, "I did not sign up. My stepmother did. I did not even know this was happening until I got the email. I have never been on a plane before this week. I barely understand which fork is for what. I am very confused." A nervous laugh escaped her, unpolished and real. "But if you are asking what I want, I guess. I want a place where I do not have to apologize for existing all the time." The room went quiet in a new way. Not awkward. Charged. Cassandra's eyes flicked toward Adrian. Naomi's smirk faded into something tighter. Adrian's gaze had changed almost imperceptibly. There was something in it now that had not been there when the salad was served. Something like understanding. In the apartment, Monica's mouth opened and closed. She dropped the cheese. She groaned. On camera. Brianna was laughing, but her laugh caught when she saw the live chat scrolling across her phone from another viewer stream. Messages were flying past. "She is so real. Finally, someone normal at those tables. Protect the cheese girl at all costs. If he does not pick her, I am done." As the cameras zoomed in on Lily's embarrassed smile and the tiny disc of rebellious goat cheese, the clip was already being bookmarked, clipped, and shared in private groups. The producers in the control room exchanged quick looks as engagement numbers spiked. At the table, Adrian picked up his wineglass, still watching Lily. He did not smile, but the corners of his eyes softened. "Thank you for your honesty," he said quietly. "And for the record, the forks are intentionally confusing." A small ripple of laughter broke the tension, lighter this time. Lily thought she had just ruined everything. She had no idea that in less than 12 hours, the internet would crown her cheese girl, and that the billionaire across from her, the one she had been sent to as a throwaway choice, had just seen the first glimpse of the greatest gift he never expected. By morning, Lily Carter had become a meme and nobody had thought to warn her. She woke up to a rapid knock on her bedroom door, 3 sharp raps, a pause, then 3 more, like someone trying to wake the dead. She rolled over, face buried in the ridiculously soft pillow, and groaned. "Miss Carter." Elise's voice came through the wood, composed even at what felt like an illegal hour. "Mr. Blackwood would like everyone in the breakfast room. As soon as possible, please." The digital clock on the nightstand glowed 7:02 a.m. Lily forced herself upright, her hair a wild tangle, brain foggy with too little sleep and too many thoughts about goat cheese. "I am coming," she called, hoping the microphone somewhere in the ceiling did not pick up the way her voice cracked. She splashed cold water on her face, pulled her hair into the least chaotic ponytail she could manage, and tugged on jeans and a soft sweater. The sketchbook went into her hands automatically, a reflex more than a choice. The breakfast room was smaller than the dining hall, but still twice the size of the entire apartment above the laundromat. Sunlight poured in through wide windows, painting long rectangles on the dark wood floor. A buffet spread ranged from fresh fruit to pastries to things Lily could not name, but were probably healthier than anything she had eaten in months. Cassandra and Naomi were already there, not touching the food. Cassandra's pristine white blouse and tailored pants were as crisp as her expression. Naomi's hair was curled perfectly, but her jaw was tight. They were both staring at a tablet on the table between them as if it were a snake. When Lily stepped in, Naomi lifted the tablet and turned it toward her with a flick of the wrist. "Congratulations," she said, voice edged with something that was not admiration. "You are famous." On the screen, a video played. It was last night's dinner. High definition, multiple angles. The moment the goat cheese escaped her fork played in slow motion, the tiny golden disc falling, bouncing, then landing with that humiliating plop. The camera cut to Lily's horrified face, then to her nervous laugh, and the words, "I guess I just want a place where I do not have to apologize for existing." Underneath the video, the caption read, "When you try to be elegant, but life is still life. Cheese Girl is all of us." The view count blinked upward in real time. It had already passed 2 million. The comments were a flood. "I love her. She is me trying to be classy at a fancy restaurant. Protect this girl. She is the only reason I am watching this. If Adrian does not marry the cheese girl, what are we even doing here?" Lily stared, stomach dropping. "I became a joke," she said quietly. Cassandra surprised her with a small, dry huff of almost laughter. "Not exactly," she replied. "You became relatable. That is far more dangerous." Naomi crossed her arms. "I still on the numbers. 2 million views in less than 12 hours, she said. 80% positive reactions, according to the analytics feed. Fan accounts popping up overnight. They are calling you Cheese Girl like it is some kind of royal title. Lily felt heat climb up her neck. "They are laughing at me." "Some are." Cassandra's tone was matter of fact. "But most of them are laughing with you. There is a difference." Before Lily could decide how to feel about that, the door opened, and Adrian Blackwood stepped into the room. He wore a dark gray suit this time. No tie, the top button of his shirt undone, as if this were his version of casual. He moved with that same controlled ease, but there was something lighter in his eyes. "Good morning," he said, helping himself to coffee like there were not cameras in the corners and tension vibrating in the air. "Have you seen social media?" Naomi asked immediately, because subtlety had never been her brand. "I have," Adrian replied. He glanced at the tablet in her hand. "The cheese situation appears to have made an impact." Lily wanted the floor to open and swallow her. She gripped her mug so tightly she feared it might crack. "I did not do it on purpose," she blurted. "I swear, I was just trying to eat like a normal human being," and the cheese revolted. Silence hung for a second, and then, to her shock, Adrian almost smiled. It was small, barely there, but it warmed his eyes. "I know you did not do it on purpose," he said. "That is probably why it worked. It was real." Elise slipped in, tablet in hand. "Mr. Blackwood," she said, "engagement across all platforms is up 300% since last night. 89% of the comments mention Miss Carter by name or nickname. The phrase Cheese Girl is trending in 3 separate investor chat groups." Naomi muttered under her breath. "Of course it is." Cassandra's lips thinned, knuckles white around her coffee cup. Adrian set his mug down with quiet precision and looked directly at Lily. "Are you all right?" he asked. The question caught her off guard. She had expected a lecture about being careful, a warning to be more polished. Instead, he sounded almost concerned. I do not understand why anyone cares," she admitted. "I dropped food. I said something pathetic. That is it." Adrian shook his head slightly. "You did not try to turn it into a moment," he said. "You simply were who you are. People can sense when something is staged. They can also sense when something is honest." At the apartment above the laundromat, Monica sat frozen in front of the television. She had stayed up half the night watching replays, reading comment threads on her phone, calculating what 2 million engaged viewers meant in terms of leverage. "They like her," Brianna said slowly, almost disbelieving. Actually like her." Monica's fingers tightened around the remote. "Good," she said. "The more they like her, the harder it will be for him not to choose her. 10 million is finally within reach." Back at the breakfast table, Cassandra leaned back in her chair, studying Lily as if she were an equation that had just become more complicated. "You have no idea what you are doing, do you?" she asked. Lily shook her head, honest as always. "Not even a little." Cassandra sighed, a hint of reluctant respect flickering over her features. "That might be the most dangerous strategy of all," she said. "Because it is not a strategy." Naomi stood abruptly, her chair scraping softly against the floor. "Well," she said, smoothing an invisible wrinkle in her dress, "I suppose we all know who the audience favorite is now." She shot Lily a smile that did not reach her eyes. "Enjoy it while it lasts, Cheese Girl." She walked out, heels tapping a sharp rhythm. Lily watched her go, feeling very small and very exposed. Adrian's gaze lingered on Lily for a moment longer, unreadable now, the brief warmth tucked back behind that practiced composure. "We will have the first challenge this afternoon," he said. "Until then, eat something. You will need your strength." When he left the room, the cameras followed him, but one lens stayed a moment longer on Lily. On the girl who had been sent here as a throwaway choice and had accidentally become the beating heart of a show she did not even want to be on. And somewhere between the comments, the clips, and the quiet way Adrian said, it was real. The first fragile thread of something that looked very much like love began to form. By the time Adrian Blackwood called them both to his office, the cameras had already decided who their queen was. But business, as everyone kept reminding themselves, was not supposed to be about feelings. 2 days had passed since the staged chaos in the photo room, the shattered vase, the soaked hem of Lily's dress, and the thin nylon thread Adrian had quietly held up between his fingers before dismissing Cassandra to a very private conversation with legal. Officially, the press release said that Naomi Price had chosen to withdraw from the show for personal reasons, even though everyone understood she had simply read the room and refused to play a game she could no longer win, and that Cassandra Hale remained as a finalist after accepting a formal warning about unacceptable tactics. Unofficially, the audience had already picked their favorite. They did not want perfection. They wanted the girl who apologized to forks and argued with cheese and somehow still stood up straight when the world tried to trip her. Now it was just Lily and Cassandra sitting side by side in 2 leather chairs that faced Adrian's desk, the Hudson River a silver ribbon in the window behind him. The cameras were smaller here, discreet lenses built into the bookshelves, but they were still there, blinking red. Cassandra wore another immaculate white suit, every hair in place, her folder of documents resting on her lap. Lily wore a simple beige dress and clutched her sketchbook with both hands like it might run away if she let go. Adrian stood rather than sat, his hands resting on the back of his chair, his posture straight, his expression composed. "Thank you both for your presentations yesterday," he began, referring to the challenge the audience had already turned into think pieces and fan edits. In the library, Cassandra had gone first, stepping up to the microphone as if she were moving onto a corporate stage, presenting her proposal for an international scholarship program with charts, timelines, projected returns, and a plan to attach the Blackwood name to every building that accepted their money. Then it had been Lily's turn, struggling with the microphone stand until it dropped into her chest, yelping that it was attacking her. And then, once the room stopped laughing, opening her worn sketchbook to the first page and talking about used books, about children whose parents could not afford new stories, about how a dog-eared page or a note in the margin proved that a book had been loved before and was now being trusted to someone new. She had suggested a program to collect and redistribute used children's books, asking readers to write little notes inside for the next kid who opened them, so that when a child picks it up, she had said, fingers tracing her father's handwriting, they know this story mattered to someone else, and now it can matter to them too. In his office now, Adrian looked first at Cassandra. "Your proposal was impressive," he said. "Strategic, detailed, financially sound. It is the kind of work any board would be proud to approve." Cassandra inclined her head, accepting the compliment as if she earned them daily. Then he turned to Lily. "Your idea was small," he continued. Lily's heart lurched, but his eyes were steady, not unkind. "Small, human, and clearly resonant." 92% of the comments on yesterday's stream mentioned your proposal. People have already started leaving notes in their own books and sharing pictures. You may have accidentally started a movement. Lily swallowed hard. "I was just talking about what helped me," she said. "I did not think about numbers." "Exactly." Cassandra cut in, her voice calm but edged like glass. "With all due respect, Adrian, you are not choosing a charity director. You are choosing a contractual partner. This is about aligning visions and managing an image that affects billions of dollars in assets. Feelings are wonderful. They do not run empires." Adrian considered her for a long moment. Then he stepped around the chair and leaned back against the edge of his desk, closer to them now, less like a CEO delivering a quarterly report and more like a man making an impossible choice. "This contract was my idea," he said. "When the board pushed me to settle down, to stabilize the company image, I chose to turn it into a show because that is what this world understands. Content, engagement, spectacle. I thought I would choose a partner the same way I choose a merger. On paper, His gaze moved between Cassandra and Lily, and then finally settled on Lily, just for a second longer. But somewhere between the airport and a piece of rebellious goat cheese, this stopped being theoretical. Cassandra's jaw tightened. "Adrian," she said quietly, "if you choose her, you will be choosing chaos over control. She does not understand your world." Lily lifted her chin, even as her hands trembled. "She is right," Lily said. "I do not know how to read a balance sheet. I do not know which fork is which without watching someone else first. I lose my notes, I talk to inanimate objects, and I still sleep with a sketchbook like a kid with a stuffed animal. But I know what it feels like to be invisible, and I would never let you feel that way in your own home." The room was very still. The cameras did not move, but the air seemed to lean forward. Adrian exhaled slowly, as if he had been holding his breath since this whole thing started. "Cassandra," he said, turning to her first, "you are brilliant. Any man would be fortunate to stand beside you in a boardroom or at a summit. I do not doubt you will build your own empire, with or without anyone's last name attached to it." For the first time, Cassandra's eyes glistened. She blinked once, sharply, but her posture did not break. "However," Adrian continued, and his voice softened in a way that cameras had never recorded before, "I am not looking for another strategist. I have an entire building full of those. I am looking for someone who reminds me I am not just a balance sheet." He turned to Lily fully now. "I am choosing you," he said. There were no dramatic pauses, no orchestral swell, just 6 simple words that rearranged Lily Carter's entire existence. She stared at him, mouth open, mind blank. "Me," she repeated, as if she needed to hear it again to believe it. "Yes," Adrian said, and this time he smiled, not the practiced half-smile he used for magazine covers, but a full, bright, almost disbelieving grin that lit up his whole face. "You, Lily." The girl who dropped the cheese, attacked a microphone, and still somehow manages to make this place feel less like a set and more like a home. In the apartment above the laundromat, Monica screamed so loudly the neighbors banged on the wall, shouting for quiet. Brianna jumped to her feet, phone forgotten on the couch as the words, "I am choosing you," echoed from the television. In Adrian's office, Cassandra stood slowly, smoothing the front of her suit with trembling hands. "Congratulations," she said, and to her credit, her voice did not crack. She looked at Lily, and for the first time there was no calculation in her gaze, only a tired kind of respect. "You won, not because you played better," she said, "but because you were never playing at all." Then she walked out, with her head high, leaving the billionaire and the girl who never meant to be chosen alone in a room where every camera had just witnessed the moment a contract stopped being a show and started becoming something dangerously close to real. 2 days after Adrian Blackwood said, "I am choosing you," Lily Carter sat in his office again. But this time there was no camera, no rival in a white suit, and no carefully staged speech. There was just a stack of papers on the desk between them and a lawyer with sharp glasses and a sharper gaze. The woman flipped through the pages with the practiced efficiency of someone who had read 1,000 contracts and found 1,000 little lies. "Miss Carter," she said, her tone professional but not unkind, "before we proceed with the transfer of the contractual payment to your family, our team conducted a routine verification of the information provided in your original application." Lily's stomach tightened. She glanced at Adrian, who stood by the window with his hands in his pockets, watching the river rather than her. That was not a good sign. The lawyer continued, "There are several inconsistencies. To begin with, the application states that you hold a degree in business administration from Westbridge State University. Our records show you never attended that institution." Lily's throat went dry. She had a feeling she knew where this was going, and it did not involve a happy phone call to Monica. "I never said I did," Lily said quietly. "I dropped out of community college after 1 semester." The lawyer nodded once, as if she had expected that answer. "The form also lists your occupation as an executive assistant at Carver and Lane Consulting," she went on. "Our team was unable to locate any such firm at the address provided." Lily let out a breath that was not quite a laugh. "That is because it does not exist," she admitted. "I make coffee, not contracts. I told my stepmother that." She stared down at her hands, fingers twisting together. She filled out the form. "I did not even know I had been applied for the show until the email came." The lawyer exchanged a glance with Adrian. He finally turned from the window, his face composed but his jaw tense. "The signature on the consent form is yours," the lawyer said. "Yes," Lily said quickly. "That part is mine." She put it in front of me and told me if I did not sign, I could start paying full rent or find somewhere else to live. I signed it because I felt like I did not have a choice. Silence hovered in the room for a moment. The only sound was the distant hum of the city outside the glass. The lawyer cleared her throat gently. "According to the contract," she said, "providing false information during the application process constitutes a breach, which means the $10 million payment designated for your family can be canceled." The words landed like a physical blow. Lily's first instinct was panic. She pictured Monica's face, the way her eyes had lit up at the phrase, $10 million, the way she had spun in the living room, already spending money that did not exist yet. "So you are canceling everything," Lily whispered, looking from the lawyer to Adrian. "You are canceling the show, the contract, me." Adrian stepped forward before the lawyer could answer. "No," he said, his voice firm. "No one is canceling you, Lily." He looked at the lawyer. "Give us a moment, please." The lawyer nodded, gathered her papers, and left the office, closing the door with a soft click that somehow made the room feel even more intense. Adrian came around the desk and sat on the edge in front of her, bringing himself to her eye level instead of towering above her. "You were sent here against your will?" he said. It was not a question. Lily nodded. "Pretty much," she said. "My stepmother saw a jackpot, not a person." Adrian's mouth tightened. "She lied on your application to make you look more appealing on paper," he went on. "Yes," Lily said. "She thought no one would pick a broke barista with half a semester of community college and a used sketchbook, so she turned me into someone else." She laughed without humor. "The funny part is that the internet likes the real version better anyway." Adrian looked at her for a long moment. The cool billionaire mask he wore in front of investors cracked just enough to show something raw underneath. "I am not angry with you," he said. "None of this is your fault. You did not manipulate anyone. You did not commit fraud. You survived the only way you thought you could." Her eyes stung. "I thought you would use this as a reason to walk away," she admitted. "A loophole. An escape hatch." "Lily," he said softly, taking a breath, "I chose you. That is not a line a lawyer wrote. That is mine." He leaned back slightly, his expression hardening, but now the anger had a clear target. "However, I have no intention of sending $10 million to a woman who lied, threatened you, and treated you like a ticket instead of a daughter," he said. "The breach clause is very clear. Because she falsified the information, the payment to your legal guardian is void. She will not see a single cent from this contract." Somewhere across the city, in the small apartment above the laundromat, Monica's phone would soon ring with that news. But for now, Lily could only sit there, caught between relief and guilt. "She is going to hate me," Lily whispered. "She already blamed me for everything when we were broke. Now she will lose the money she decided was hers." Adrian shrugged slightly. "She already treated you like a burden when you owed her nothing," he said. "At least now she will be angry while you are living your own life, not washing her dishes." Lily let out a shaky breath. "What happens to the money then?" she asked. "Does it just go back into some Blackwood vault?" Adrian's eyes softened. "That is the other reason I wanted to talk to you in private," he said. "The contract promised $10 million to the family of the woman I chose. Legally, that family is your stepmother and your half-sister. Ethically, that does not sit well with me. So I have instructed legal to create a separate trust, in your name only. The funds that would have gone to them will be placed there instead." Lily blinked. "You are giving me $10 million, she said slowly, as if testing each word. "Directly." "Yes," Adrian said. "Under your control. Protected from them. It will allow you to pay for school if you want it, to open that used book space you talked about, to live somewhere that does not smell like laundry detergent and resentment." Lily's vision blurred. "You barely know me," she said. "I drop cheese and fight with microphones. I talk to a duck drawing when I am nervous. What if I mess it up?" Adrian reached out, his hand covering hers where they rested on the sketchbook. "Then you will learn," he said. "You do not owe anyone perfection, Lily. You only owe yourself the chance to find out who you are when no one is using you as collateral." She laughed through the tears. "My stepmother is going to say you brainwashed me," she sniffed. "Good," he replied. "Someone needed to rinse out all the lies she told you about your worth." And in that office, with the contract between them and the river glinting behind him, Lily Carter realized that the greatest gift this billionaire had ever given her was not the money, not the show, not even the promise of a life beside him. It was the simple, steady belief that she was never a throwaway choice, and that from now on, she would be the one deciding where her life went. 6 months later, if you walked down a quiet side street in the city just after lunch, you could find Lily Carter behind the counter of a tiny place with big windows and an even bigger heart. The hand-painted sign above the door read, "The Little Duck Library," with a small yellow duck sketched beside. The words, "wings too small, eyes a little confused," exactly like the drawing from her father's old sketchbook. Inside, the walls were lined with shelves that did not match but somehow belonged together, filled with used children's books that had been donated from all over the country after the show aired. Some had frayed covers, some had crayon marks, some had pages repaired with tape, but they all had the same thing in common. On the inside cover, there was a handwritten note from the previous reader to the next child who would open it. "This helped me fall asleep when I was scared," one read. "This book made me laugh when I felt alone," said another. Every new donation brought a new note, a new invisible thread between strangers. On one wall, in a simple frame, hung the original sketchbook that had almost drowned in a puddle and almost been torn from her life twice. The first page still carried her father's message. "For Lily, one day, we will see all of this together." Underneath the frame, a small brass plaque read, "Fly your own way." Children sat cross-legged on the floor, flipping through stories. Parents sipped cheap but decent coffee from mismatched mugs, and Lily moved among them with the kind of relaxed joy that comes from waking up in a place you chose for yourself. Across town, on a much higher floor, in an office with a view that swallowed the skyline, Adrian Blackwood had made a change as well. Where there had once been award photos and magazine covers on his wall, there was now only one frame. A picture of Lily standing in front of the Little Duck Library, hair pulled back, apron dusted with chalk from writing the daily quote outside, laughing at something the photographer had not captured. Next to that, on a shelf behind his desk, rested a second frame containing a high-resolution copy of the first page of her sketchbook. He had asked her permission to display it there, and every time a board member commented on it, he simply said, "That is where the whole company remembered it has a soul." As for Monica and Brianna, the universe had not forgotten about them either. Without the promised $10 million, the credit card bills and late notices that Monica had been shoving into drawers for years finally burst out like a flood. They had to sell the apartment above the laundromat and move into a much smaller place on the edge of the city, this time without marble-scented candles or fake designer bags. Monica worked the night shift at a 24-hour grocery store, scanning cereal boxes and listening to customers complain about prices. Brianna wore a name tag at a coffee shop that was not nearly as cute as the cafe where Lily had once worked. For the first time in their lives, they had to say please and thank you to strangers and hope they would be kind. Lily did not visit. She did not send money. She did not gloat. She simply continued building a life where she was not a debt to be collected. On a bright afternoon with a clean blue sky, on a stretch of beach far from the cameras that had once followed his every move, Adrian stood barefoot in the sand, wearing beige linen pants and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, looking very much like the man Lily had first met by accident, but softer now, lighter. A small group of friends and a very patient officiant stood a few feet away, giving them space. Lily walked toward him in a simple white dress that brushed her ankles, her hair loose, the Little Duck sketchbook tucked under one arm, because some habits were not meant to be broken. Halfway to him, her foot caught in a small dip in the sand, and she stumbled with a startled laugh. Adrian laughed too, meeting her halfway, steadying her just like he had done at the airport. "I cannot even walk in a straight line at my own wedding," she said, breathless. "That is why I love you," he replied easily. The officiant cleared his throat with a smile and began. There were no microphones, no dramatic music, just the sound of waves and two people who had already chosen each other a long time ago. When it was their turn to speak, Adrian went first. "Lily Carter," he said, his voice steady but full. "When this started, I thought I was designing a contract. I thought I was looking for a solution that would make investors calm and newspapers bored. Instead, I found the one person who could look at a world of marble floors and glass walls and ask, very sincerely, which fork to use. You reminded me that life is more than numbers and strategy calls. You made my house feel like a home. You turned a show into something real, and you turned a throwaway choice into the greatest gift I never expected. Then it was Lily's turn. Her hands shook, so she held the sketchbook to keep them steady. Adrian Blackwood, she said, tears already gathering. For most of my life, I was told I was lucky just to be kept, that I should be grateful for whatever scraps of kindness I got. I thought I was here on earth to pay off other people's mistakes. When my stepmother sent me to you, she thought she was shipping off a problem for a payout. She never imagined that you would see me, not as a contract, not as a prop, but as a person. You believed me when I said I wanted a place where I did not have to apologize for existing. You gave me that place, and you never once asked me to be anyone other than the girl who drops cheese and talks to books. I promise to spend the rest of my life reminding you that you are more than what you own, that you are allowed to be tired, to be silly, to be human. They exchanged simple gold bands that gleamed in the sun. The officiant pronounced them husband and wife. And when Adrian kissed her, there were no ratings to chase, no comments to refresh, only the taste of salt and the warmth of someone who had chosen her when it would have been easier not to. Later, as they sat on a blanket on the sand, shoes forgotten, the sketchbook open between them, Lily traced one of her father's old drawings with a fingertip. "Do you ever think about how strange it is," she asked softly, "that I was sent to you like spare change and somehow ended up here?" Adrian laced his fingers with hers. "I think it is perfect," he said, "because it proves something." "What is that?" she asked. He smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "That the world can call you a throwaway choice all at once," he said. "But real love, the kind that stays, always knows a miracle when it sees one." And somewhere far from the cameras and the comments and the old apartment above the laundromat, the girl who was sent to a billionaire as a joke finally understood that the greatest plot twist of her story was not that he chose her, but that she had learned to choose herself first. If you enjoyed this story, tell me in the comments, do you think Lily's stepmother deserved what happened to her? And what was your favorite moment in this journey from contract to true love? On a scale from 0 to 10, what would you rate this story? Do not forget to hit subscribe, like the video, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another dramatic love story. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.